The Stadium Heads Week 0 Stadiums episode on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up, and when you do, sign up with the promo code TCESGPN to score up to $250 in bonus cash. They just introduced college football best ball, folks. Hop on over there, Underdog Fantasy, with the promo code TCESGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Get your 7-day free trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm.
Hey, this is Pac-Man Jones. You're listening to SGPN. Let it ride.
Okay, that can be done in any case, education. More education, the more informed. That's the way it is with everything. The young they ask me advice, and I always tell them, get as much knowledge as you can.
Stadium Heads, man.
The granddaddy of them all, the famed Rose Bowl, jammed with a color of over 100,000 fans for its 67th renewal.
And the weather here today at Notre Dame Stadium, in a word, it is cold, but it is football weather. The temperature 37 degrees, humidity 79%. Forecast cloudy for light rain later on this afternoon.
The average person doesn't know what a good stadium is. They might think they know what a good stadium is, but they think just, oh, our seats are nice and it's so comfortable. We have a 10,000-inch screen we can watch the replay on while we're watching the game, and we got a waiter coming over to take our orders, right? And there's 20 million bathrooms close to us. That's not what makes a good stadium. A good stadium is the look of it, the feel of it, the history of it, the soul of it. That's what makes a good stadium. That's what I mean when I say we're stadium heads. We are stadium heads.
They get to run around. Now those people, they shouldn't even be there. That doesn't even count. If you can't get out in the elements, you shouldn't even go to the game. That's the worst thing. Those darn boxes up there, dome stadiums and stuff. We don't need that, right?
Welcome to sunny El Paso, the 52nd Sun Bowl, and now
this ancient facility is one of the great settings in all of college football. Neyland is now in its 87th year.
That's what we are, though. We are stadium heads. And welcome back to Stadium Heads Week 0 edition. Holy hell. YouTube.com/@StadiumHeadsSGPN. We got live ammunition. Real games. What's going on? Oh man, talk about a pep in your step when you wake up and say, wait a second, we are less than a week away from college football action, folks. Can't wait to break it all down with you. We got, I think, 8 games I counted. 8 games going on. College football week 0. We're going to highlight all the stadiums. And obviously we're going to, reveal where the great college football campus tour will be for the college football action. If you're wondering just who the hell you're listening to, though, that's fair. My name is Colby Swiggin, Database Dad, aka Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
He's the kind of guy that would drink a gallon of gasoline so he could piss in your campfire. You could drop this guy off at the Arctic Circle wearing a pair of bikini underwear without his toothbrush, and tomorrow afternoon he's going to show up at your poolside with $1 million smile and a fistful of pesos.
Yes! College football, when that's going on, I always have $1 million smile and a fistful of pesos, maybe being wagered upon. Fistful of pesos is actually like nothing. Is it like, it's like a penny, right? Anyway, I got a fistful of pesos at all times, hopefully. All right. I can't believe we're finally here. We're doing this one. Live ammunition. I've been waiting. I feel like watching a dad watching his son throw the baseball for the first time. Just with the fact that the games are happening. It's like, oh yes, we're finally here. I am joined by the most interesting man in college football, and this podcast, he's the gasoline into this podcast, because let me tell you, when you see the coming weeks we have, scheduled, you're going to be in awe. He is on Twitter at CFB Campus Tour, and I want to give him a better introduction, but I think ESPN might have nailed it.
Wanted to shout out Michael Barker. You can follow him on Twitter at CFB Campus Tour. This is his 84th college football game of the 2023 season. He said he's going to end at 90 college football games he's attended this year with the college football national title in Houston. So again, he's out there with everybody.
He's like
wet
the US
weather,
Postal Service, rain, sleet, snow. It doesn't.
Rain, sleet, snow. The season is starting. You see the video there. If you're watching, if you're listening to this on the audio side, he was just in a torrential downpour in Annapolis, Maryland last season. Looking forward to some more torrential downpours, I'm sure. I give you Michael Barker, AKA College Football Campus Tour. How are you, brother?
I'm doing great, and echo your sentiments about needing the season to get here. You have analogies about your son accomplishing something and proud. I've used the analogy of being in jail and checking off the days until you get out. And like our release date is a couple days away. And I put out a little meme on Twitter. It's that bus window meme where one guy's looking at the dark side of the cliff and the other one's looking outside at the hills and the sun. And it just said this Saturday versus next Saturday. And that thing is bouncing around Twitter like over 100,000 views still right now. And so there's a lot of people who have been waiting with great anticipation like you and I, and we have actual games to talk about. So it doesn't get any better than that.
Yes, we do. Look, it's not, I think last season we had like 11 games, if memory serves me correct. So the sample size went down, but still, live bullets are live bullets, man. Let's get to it. YouTube.com/@StadiumHeadsSGPN. And by the way, we want to congratulate or I don't know, maybe not congratulate is the right word. I want to celebrate that we are over 100. I think we're at 102 subscribers. This is one of the things, we're putting it out on many platforms. So you might say, well, what's 100 subscribers? Well, it's our first 100 subscribers on that very feed. If you're listening to this on the SGPN feed or the College Football Experience feed or any other feeds that we're putting it on. I think we're putting it also on the network feed. Hop on over, please, if you can. YouTube.com/@StadiumHeadsSGPN. Hit that like and subscribe button because one day you're gonna wonder what the hell happened to that cool podcast. Well, we're gonna branch off at some point. You want to be hip. All right, you got to jump on over there and do that. Also, please, if you can, on iTunes, a 5-star review would be a dandy. But look, we're about to jump into it here. But before I do that, I do want to tell the folks out there that the Stadium Heads Week 0 episode is brought to you by the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. Yes, we are part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. Everything in the merch store is 10% off with the promo code football. Hello, McFly. You can get a Stadium Heads hat, a Stadium Heads shirt. Get on over there. Use the promo code football. Get you 10% off what you're doing there. Also, college football kicks off this week. Tune into the Sports Gambling Podcast and the College Football Experience for Week 0 picks and all of your favorite futures. And remember, as always, folks, to let it ride. All right, back on the Stadium Heads Podcast, Week 0. Shout out to Cannabis Capper, 0 to 100 on preseason. LFG, appreciate you jumping into the chat and feel free to fire away. But we got a slate of 8 games, I believe, if my math was correct, which is always questionable. 8 games. YouTube.com/the college experience. We're gonna show off this slide here. We got obviously the big one here: Florida State, Georgia Tech in Dublin, Ireland, of all places, at Aviva Stadium. Then we have, I feel like that's the one that's really getting a bunch of marketing dollars behind it, but, McNeese State at Tarleton State at Tarleton Stadium. The last time Michael was there was 2021. By the way, Michael has not been to Aviva Stadium, and I'd prefer to keep it that way.
Same.
Then also, what we got? Montana State at New Mexico University Stadium. There last time Michael was there was 2023. SEMO, Southeast Missouri State, is taking on North Alabama. Neutral site game somewhat. Cramton, the Cramton Bowl in Montgomery, Alabama. Last time he was there was a year ago. We also have Norfolk State against Florida A&M at Georgia State's very own Center Parc Stadium. Last time Michael was there was 2 years ago. And then a sneaky one for all the hardcore fans. Lincoln, California. The Oaklanders are heading to Idaho, Simplot Stadium, which neither of us have been to, but let me tell you, we're excited to get to that one. That game, I think you're gonna have to watch that one on YouTube if you're real swift. We also have SMU at Nevada, Mackay Stadium. Last time Michael was there was 2017. And Delaware State at Hawaii. The Ching Complex will be rocking in the late night game there. Last time Michael was there was 2022. So those are all the times Michael's been there, and those are all the games we got week 0. A couple neutral site games, but still, like Cramton Bowl, I feel like is a cool neutral site game. Whereas, how do you feel about the old games going on there in Dublin?
Well, Georgia Tech and Florida State deserves to be played on campus in the United States. Both iconic stadiums. Doak Campbell, Bobby Dodd. We were talking offline about next year being Farmageddon out there as well. You know, I get the fact that you want to market big games out there because you want people to show up. But these are great matchups that the home fans that, you know, they're going to miss not seeing their team play. So I understand expanding the sport. I get that. But we like big time rivalry matchups and long-standing ACC and those on campus. So, and it's not a football stadium, so that hurts also.
Yeah, do a non-con game there. All right, if you're gonna make this deal. I mean, I don't even really think you're growing the game too. Are you telling me like you're gonna get drunken Americans to fly there? Like, I don't picture like as someone that's been to Ireland, I don't picture like some farmer in Ireland being like, "Well, I'm a Florida State fan. I'm gonna watch all their games." I just don't see it happening. I think it's just bullshit. But anyway, let's jump into it because that is the first stadium, and it's good to get the bad out of the way first. Because first off, look at this live. Look at this. I did a little map.
Fire.
Look at this. We got live bullets scattered through the United States and Ireland. So
how many time zones is that going through right there? That's like 45 time zones probably.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, yeah.
There we go.
Football. Yeah.
And shout out to Rolex Dad saying great show. And Kite Sunday says I'll be at Mackay Stadium. Let's go. And shout out to Adam Davis saying I can't wait. We can't either. And let's start off though with Dublin, Ireland, because I'm going chronologically with the way. By the way, with the times that they kick. All right. So the first game here, obviously Florida State, Georgia Tech, Dublin, Ireland, Aviva Stadium, 14 years old, seats 49,000. It should be noted, if you're going to this game, it should certainly be noted that Nebraska Northwestern played here 2 years ago and they ran out of alcohol at halftime.
Wow.
Right. Or it might've been late first quarter or I'm sorry, early second quarter. All I know that was a big deal. Can't have that type of party foul going on if you're going to fly that far. Cause Ireland, especially in Ireland, like that's a challenge to do in Ireland. I'm not, I personally just don't like neutral site games, especially when they're abroad. Like to me, if you're going to do this, do your FCS game, something like that. This thing, I stayed at a hotel, like a fucking half a block from here. When I was in Dublin, and there was like a big rugby game, so it was chaos. They love their rugby, but this screams NFL to me. It screams NFL nonsense to me. Talk to me about Aviva Stadium, Michael.
So Aviva Stadium was built in 2010. It holds 49,000 for American football. It holds a little bit more for rugby. They play soccer, rugby, have a lot of concerts there. It was built on the site of a stadium. The previous stadium is called Lansdowne Road, and it was built in 1872. And there were like 23,000 permanent seats. There's some standing room only seats. And they decided to tear down a stadium that was built just after the Civil War ended. I mean, they're not caring about the American Civil War in Ireland, but just to give you context, 7 years after the American Civil War ended, they built the stadium and they tore it down. And so you mentioned the Nebraska Northwestern game 2 years ago. The first time they hosted a game, 2012, Notre Dame versus Navy. 2016, Georgia Tech played there against BC. And then next year we mentioned that it's going to be Iowa State and K-State. And so this is ongoing. This is the fourth game. So they're trying to develop some tradition. You showed in the first photo the shape of the quote is, the roof undulates in a wave-like manner to block light for neighbors, because this is clearly in a residential neighborhood. And then the three sides of the stadium are four-tiered. One is one tier, and that one is near neighbors. The first and fourth levels are general seating. The second level is for premium seating, and the third level is for corporate seating. So that it's all, yeah. And the last thing is,
I'm sorry. Yeah.
They said that they built it. The criticism of this place among many is that there's not enough seats, 49,000 for the demand of the rugby games that you're talking about. So anyways, that's the backstory of Aviva Stadium.
Yeah. I mean, first off, if you've been to Ireland, like I spent a couple weeks there just bouncing around the country, but in Dublin, Ireland, I went to a bar that opened up in 1100. My brain, I'm too stupid to think about, like, I was like, I like, what was the form of payment? Like, that's like pre-Viking, right? I was just like, how do they even know this was like, I'm so confused. I have so many questions, but my point is that the history there, obviously anything European really is just like phenomenal. So to think they would detonate a stadium from the 1800s for this shit. All right. This just bothers me.
It's brutal. And you know what I will say is, you know, they have a all-star game in the FCS. It's called the Dream Bowl, and it's where the Ivy League All-Stars play Japanese college football All-Stars, and it's in January after this season. I would be interested in going to that game because it doesn't get in the way of anything else. It's not competing with other games. And you mentioned in the intro how this is the game that's the talk of college football. Mostly probably because it's the most, it's the most well-known teams. It's the ACC long-standing rivals. But if this were, let's say, in Major League Baseball, they play a series in Japan 1 week before the season opens, and then they have them come back and start the regular season. If this game were yesterday and it was standalone and I had opportunity to go, I would go. But if you're telling me that I have a choice between this game and going to see Tarleton State at home, I'm going to Tarleton State. It's just how things work. So in a perfect world, this would be a place you could go visit, check out. But when it comes to college football, it's almost the same category as when we do playoff games in NFL stadiums. This place has no connection to what college football fans want from a venue.
Yeah. Yeah. And trust me, as someone that had a large amount of alcohol at about 75 bars in Ireland, I didn't hear anybody talking college football. So I'm a skeptic on this whole angle of we're going to grow the game. That's like, but one of the things I hate most about like the lay football fan is like, they really believe that this is growing the game. Like, is it? I want them to explain to me, because last year, Notre Dame and Navy, I knew a shit ton of Notre Dame and Navy people that went to the game. That's not growing the game. They just wanted to go get drunk in Ireland. Right. That's just helping their economy. Right. Like, I don't understand it. Like, I don't know. Like, and by the way, I want to note that I do believe Holy Cross played some games in Ireland in the 80s. I remember like going down this rabbit hole on YouTube where I found like a Holy Cross game in Ireland. It must have been maybe it was at the old venue previously. Shout out to KP Marshall in the chat. He goes, "Are you still going to the Eastern Washington game?" He just wants to know your schedule, right? We don't want to reveal that yet, right?
So that's Kevin Marshall, FCS Nation Radio. Shout out to Kevin. Kevin, yeah. I'll text you after the show. How about that?
There we go. And shout out to Edwin Moore, U.S. college football in Ireland. Wow. Look, if in case you need a reason to go get drunk overseas, I feel like that's what this game really is. I mean, it's sponsored by the airlines, the Aer Lingus. Okay, like I'm just not buying that. Fans in Ireland are all of a sudden like. First off, if you go into any bar in Ireland, there's no TVs, right? There's like live music and poetry and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like it's cool. Everyone's friendly as hell. It's a great country, but I just can't. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. We're growing the game. Not buying it. Pick Dundee says we're full of shit. This is just a ploy for an airlines to get a bunch of Americans to come get drunk and help the Irish economy. Boom. All right. Look, before I get to the next stadium, I want to tell you that the Stadium Heads Week 0 podcast is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Yes, Underdog Fantasy Pick'em is giving you a chance to win 1,000 times the amount of money you enter, or play fantasy football the right way with Best Ball. Yes, Best Ball Mania is live with $15 million in prizes. You can now use specials and boost on all flex entries. Folks, I had never even heard of college football best ball until this year with Underdog. I've been wanting for it to happen for like 20 years. It's finally here. Jump on over there, sign up. And when you do, sign up with the promo code TCESGPN to claim your special pick plus first time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCESGPN. We're also brought to you by Circa Survivor and Circa Millions. Yes, Circa Sports is back with Circa Survivor and Circa Millions, giving away $16 million in guaranteed prizes. If you haven't been to the Circa in Vegas, what do you got going on? If you're a sports fan, that's just like, it's heaven. Sit back, stadium, swim, just watch everything, every sporting event. I don't care what it is. It could be like a marble races are on one of the TVs, I feel like. If you don't have a trip booked for Vegas yet before football season, the ultimate contest weekend is a great time to go out. You can hang with my pals, Stacking the Money Green and Real Money Kramer, the Sports Gambling Podcast, and enjoy some of the open bar events at the greatest sports book in the world. August 22nd to August 24th. That's obviously coming right up. Use the promo code SGP15 to save you 15% off your hotel room for that weekend. And look, you do want to sign up in person at Circa Sports between now and September 7th. You can use a proxy to play from anywhere after that. We even have a deal with the proxy. So go to proxy.footballcontest.com to save you $50 with the promo code SGP, and they're going to give you a free hat. Who doesn't want a free hat? All right. Back on the Stadium Heads podcast. And
Can I point out something with this photo that I just noticed? So you see the tarps on the first few rows?
Yeah.
You know what those are for, right?
No, I don't. What is that for?
Those are for because they're too low, and you would look at the back of a football player.
Okay.
So when you're watching a game, you get an obstructed view, and take it from the guy who knows how to find them. So talk about a stadium that's not built for American college football. You have a stadium built in 2010, and you got to tarp off the first rows. So another reason to avoid Dublin.
Yeah, I mean,
the fuck is that?
Look, honestly, like go to Ireland when it's like, if it's your team going, you're just looking for a reason to go get drunk. If you've never been to Ireland, I would encourage you to just go on your own at a different time. You know what I mean? I'm not going to say don't go see football, but I'm just saying you should spend time to check out the whole country. It's a beautiful country. People are absolutely friendly as hell. So, you'll enjoy that, but you don't need to see a football game. Then you can just go around every drunken bar. You know what I mean? Or maybe if alcohol is not your cup of tea, you can still go to places. They have like I said, everything is so ancient. Churches, everything I'm talking like hundreds of years old. It's quite fascinating. Anyway, let's jump to the next game chronologically. McNeese, the Cowboys, are heading to Tarleton State. First off, they played week 1. Remember after the COVID, the canceled everything. I had all my games I wanted to watch for week 1. Your travel schedule cooked. This was one of the first games we got.
I was there.
Do you remember this? Yeah, it was like on FS. It was on like Fox Sports Southwest 2. Like people were scattering to find that. It was a great game though. I think it came down to the final drive. Tarleton, Texas.
It was
What's that?
what's his name? It was Ed Orgeron's son at quarterback, and that game went to like double overtime, and he scored the game-winning touchdown with his dad on the sideline. It was like 25 degrees. It was extremely cold, but that was the first COVID game. I was there. I remember it.
Cody Orgeron, by the way, is his son.
Exactly.
Yes, Tarleton, Texas. This stadium is 73 years old, folks. Seats 24,000. And I am delighted to have this game on the slate. I think it's one of the better games for the opening week 0. Tell me about your travels to Tarleton Stadium there in Tarleton, Texas.
So I believe it is Memorial Stadium, correct? Is that the name of it, or did they change it?
When I Googled it, it said Tarleton Stadium, but I could be full of shit.
All right. Well, I think it's Memorial Stadium, but
okay.
Built in 1951, started with 6,000 seats, and this place. I've been there twice. So did that game, and it was the first spring game 2021, and it was an experiment, and we're happy to be there. And I was glad to get that game. It was a lot of fun. And then last year I did a campus visit, and even in the space of 2 years, this stadium has improved a lot. And as I mentioned, it started with 6,000 seats. It had 7,600 seats all the way up until 2018. 2018, they jumped up to 15,000. And then in the offseason 2023, they added, you can see in that far end zone, those bleachers, and that's another 9,000 seats. So FCS Stadium with 24,000 seats, which is a good size stadium. In 2019, also their renovation, what they did was they put in that new press box. In 2022, they also removed the track, which is huge for credibility of a stadium. And the investment that they've done over the past couple of years has resulted in some great crowds. Last year, they had 3 crowds of over 20,000. So they're packing it out. They've moved to a new conference. They have relocated the track facility. So now there's a standalone track place. All the moves that you want to see. And this is an up and coming program. And they're playing McNeese. McNeese has the transfer quarterback from Montana, Clifton McDowell, who played in the FCS championship last year. This is going to be a really great game.
Yeah, and if you could see youtube.com/@stadiumheadsSGPN, these are the photos here when they had the track, right, from that game I think you were at, but also, this whole end zone down towards to the right side of the screen now has been filled up with stands, which is awesome. It looks really good. And they're spending money, and I these are one of the ones that I keep hearing for FBS aspirations. Shout out to Edwin Morgos. He's never been to that stadium, but it looks nice passing by it. So yeah, I mean, that's the one thing I want to say, and maybe I should have hit this up top. Oh, actually no, because who cares about the Ireland game? Unless you're in Ireland, go support college football because that's your only option. But this weekend's a perfect weekend if you live anywhere near any of these 8 games to step outside of the realm. Like you can't say like, oh, well, I'm a USC fan. Yeah, I know I live in Tarleton, outside of Tarleton, Texas, but the USC game's on. Well, this is a perfect weekend for you to step outside of that and go to a game, support a team that you have, at a university in a stadium that you've never been to. What are you doing? Do that. This is a perfect opportunity right here. This exact game, Tarleton. If you're anywhere in the area, I challenge you to go out to this game, support college football. I really dig the stadium. I think that I'm a sucker for that press box. It's just to see the development, phenomenal.
No, I agree, and we look for improvements over time, and they've made rapid improvements. And also, you're talking about the FCS or jump to FBS, which it takes time, but you see Sam Houston there. There's 10, 11, 12 FBS programs in Texas. Sam Houston Stadium only has, I want to say 11 or 12,000 seats. So this is double that. It's in a different part of Texas, is over closer to Lubbock over there. So you're not having to compete for the local talent in the same way that Sam Houston is with Rice and Houston and Texas A&M and all those. So I have my goals of going to a game at every FCS stadium, and I've checked this one off. I did in 2021, but the combination of that being a COVID game and also the massive upgrade in the stadium since then, this is one that I want to revisit. And so I agree with you as far as people encouraging people to get out there and go. There are times where you regret not going to something. And when the season heats up and you have, Colby, you've talked about watching 9 games all at one time, there's going to be all these other distractions. So if you're in this area or in the other area of any of these other games, try to get out there, because maybe it will spark your interest, not just in that particular school, but doing the in-game experience a little more heavily than you have in the past.
Yeah. Amen. Next, we're going to jump chronologically to the Mountain West, where the Big Sky is taking on the Mountain West. This spread, by the way, Montana State's a 9.5 point favorite. A month ago, when I was at Mountain West Media Days, it was Montana State was a 4.5 point favorite. So it's jumped 5 points in a month. Yeah, pretty fascinating. That's how good this Montana State program is. Before I dive into this one, I want to tell you folks out there that the Stadium Heads Podcast Week 0 edition is brought to you by Rhythm. Football season's here, and the college football and NFL models are now live on Rhythm. Create your own winning betting model, or let Rhythm do the heavy lifting for you. You decide what stats matter most to you, and Rhythm builds a custom model around that, or just let Rhythm and its predictive model do the heavy lifting for you. Rhythm uses AI projections from MIT data scientists and quants, and Rhythm already has you covered for NFL Week 1 and college football Week 0. If we're going to talk about that Ireland game, give me the Yellow Jackets and the points there. I think they're getting 12. So yeah, jump on that. Claim your free 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. We're also brought to you by Game Time. Game Time is now an authorized ticket marketplace of the MLB. And obviously we're getting inching closer and closer to the World Series. But they are an authorized ticket marketplace of the MLB, which makes getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch, with killer last minute deals, all in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. And it's not just MLB. If you're going to go, check out a college football game, if you're going to Tarleton Stadium there, Memorial Stadium, whatever, or if you're going to the game in Ireland, if you're going to see, I don't know, David Blaine, right? Whoever. Right. Just pull out the Game Time app. It's going to hook you up. All right. Download it, create an account, use the redeeming code CFBX for $20 off your first purchase. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Line. I'm sorry, Game Time, not Game Line. Terms apply. Once again, create that account, redeeming code CFBX for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right. Back on the Stadium Heads Week 0 edition. Montana State at New Mexico University Stadium, Albuquerque, New Mexico. 64 years old, 39,225 is what University Stadium seats. Now, I just did a New Mexico pod. Shout out to the Lobos. Bronco Mendenhall's first game there. And obviously Montana State's a juggernaut in the FCS. But I don't think they realize how good they have a nice stadium there. And I feel like I was on their own podcast, and I feel like they didn't appreciate it the same way I appreciate it. Michael, tell me about your travels to Albuquerque.
So I've been to 2 games at University Stadium. This photo is from 2018. At the time, the stadium was called Dream Style Stadium. So huge upgrade with the new stadium name. This was a weeknight game versus Boise State at the end of the year. And then last year I went to the Black Friday game. They played Utah State, and that game was crazy. It was cold, and it was 44-40 was the final score. Last game of before Bronco Mendenhall got hired, changed coaches, changed regimes. So I like the stadium, and there's, if you look at some of the other photos I sent, there's some good views out there. Albuquerque, when we did the Mountain West episode on stadiums, we talked about how cool of a city that is, underrated views. So,
look at that.
It's an older, it's beautiful. So, sometimes I didn't hear your interview with the people from New Mexico. Sometimes when your program is on downtimes and people want to throw some compliments there, maybe they're not as warmly received because you just have an overall feeling about where things have been. But this, they play a bowl game here every year, and the New Mexico Bowl, when they get fans there, it's a cool place to play. And this is one where Week 0, New Mexico, Albuquerque is a beautiful place. And this is probably the most interesting game of week 0 because that point spread, two things jump out at me. Number one is Montana State is not a dominating throwing team. So they're going to have to run their offense. And if they don't just obliterate them on the ground, this game is probably not going to be out of hand at any point. And the other thing is, I saw them play that last game against Utah State, and they scored 40 points on Utah State. They were churning them on the ground. And in theory, Utah State is going to have better talent than Montana State on defense, in theory. So this one is the first one of the major FCS squads going up against the FBS. In week 1, we got South Dakota State at Oklahoma State, and we got North Dakota State at Colorado. So all three are very, very intriguing. But this one is going to be the guinea pig litmus test. And I don't see Montana State coming and blowing them out, but I also see reservations. I see reservations on both sides. So this is going to be a fascinating game.
Yeah, it's the game probably that I want to watch maybe the most. I don't know. There's a couple. The McNeese Tarleton one's up there too. But I think, I mean, we're on a gambling platform. I think you take the points because look, Bronco Mendenhall, I know he struggles in first years historically. And when I say historically, really it's just at Virginia when he was changing an offensive system and a defensive system. You know, Robert Anai is his longtime OC. Now he's not his OC now. It's Jason Beck, who was a quarterback's coach under Anai. So they're going to be running the Robert Anai offense, the Mike Leach, you know, sprinkles of the Mike Leach air raid there. But guess what? Mendenhall got his start under Rocky Long as a DC back when they had Brian Urlacher. Well, the previous coach was Danny Gonzalez, who is a former player for Rocky Long at New Mexico. They ran that 3-3-5. I think the defense will be way ahead of where, if people were comparing that to Virginia was running a 4-3 with Mike London. So overhauling that was completely different to me than coming into a team that you're going to be running similar shit that you're going to be doing defensively. So I think the defense will be ahead of the offense. And I also think that the defense will be in a decent spot to make it a game. I'll take the points. I know Kevin's already said Cats win by 14 plus.
And us FBS guys would love to see it, right? We would love to see that.
Yeah.
It would be great, you know?
Yeah, I have nothing, but I will say, like, I am going to defend them no matter what. I don't care if I'm on ESPN Albuquerque. All right. This is a good stadium. You've got to wake up to that. Just because you had some losses, it's a good stadium. What the hell's going on here? What, you want it to look like that shit in Ireland?
No, and this is the antithesis of that stadium in Ireland. And, you know, there 3 of the games here on week 0 are Mountain West home games. We got Hawaii, we got Nevada, and we got New Mexico. And the Mountain West is a conference that plays their conference championship game at home. And I mentioned last year that I went to the Black Friday game, which was right, you know, the day after Thanksgiving, how cold it was. So we're not expecting New Mexico to jump up and be a player in hosting the Mountain West Championship. But Bronco Mendenhall's track record, the fact that he loves the challenge, this stadium and this squad 2-3 years from now, they could be hosting a Mountain West Championship game. And, you know, the stadium holds 39,000 now. The record crowd they got was 44,760 back in 2005. And, you know, there's spots like grassy hills you can stand on. So there's some standing room areas. Imagine this place in, let's say, 3 years hosting Boise State in the Mountain West Championship with that, you know, 4:00 start, cold with those mountains in the backdrop. Then all of a sudden people are going to be feeling this stadium a lot.
Guarantee it. And by the way, you know, if you build it, it will come. Winning cures all. I can't help but look. New Mexico basketball has the Pit, which is one of the best places to catch a college basketball game in America. So to me, you can't give me this, oh, well, it's a basketball town. No, it's not. All right. It's a college town. All right. You don't have a pro basketball team. If you start winning, they will show up. You could look back to Rocky Long. I watched the game last summer, and I know I feel like I said this on the Mountain West edition, but like a Texas Tech game when Leach came in ranked, and Rocky Long had New Mexico rolling, and this place was packed and it was lit. This is going to happen again. Mendenhall is going to do it. And then you realize the stadium's great and you should keep it forever. Excited to see, and look at those trees back there, man. Yeah. Look, it's just phenomenal. This is a great stadium, man.
And also, if you look at the progression of the stadium, so when I rolled through there, there was a 1980 championship banner in there, and I thought, who the hell is that? And they hosted the D2 championship game in 1979, 1980. It was called the Zia Bowl, and it was Delaware over Youngstown State in 1979 and Cal Poly over Eastern Illinois in 1980. And you look at the stadium, there's nothing in either end zone. It's just like flat, dead grass. They had cars parked basically behind the end zone. To go and look at that forensically 40 years fast forward and look at what the stadium looks like now, those bleacher seats in the end zone are right up against the edge of the field. That sweet football facility in the other end zone is right, great vantage point. And those road bleachers, you can't tell, but the backside of those, it shares a bleacher with the track stadium. So I think at some point they relocated the track. So keep this place forever, continue to invest in it. And if you don't appreciate what it looks like now, go Google some old photos from 1980 and you will really appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said. Next we go to the Cramton Bowl, Montgomery, Alabama. This place is 102 years old, folks. If you're in the area, what do you got going on? Go check out SEMO, which, they've had some really good years in the FCS over the past 5-10 years. And North Alabama, a team that I feel like we can say in the same vein as Tarleton. They have aspirations to they're throwing money into their program. They want to get it up there. This is a fun game, man. This is a fun game. I'm excited. I haven't seen lines drop on the FCS yet, but I'm excited to watch this matchup because I see both programs. I feel like North Alabama wants to be, FBS, and wants to just come out of nowhere and dominate. And SEMO's been a good program. So, Cramton Bowl. Tell me about your travels to Montgomery, Alabama, because this place is fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, this is a legendary stadium. We think of Alabama. It's got Legion Field. It's got Ladd Peoples. It's got all the FBS ones. We did Troy. That stadium is great. And obviously Alabama, Auburn, UAB just built a very nice stadium. So this has been the old reliable out there in Montgomery, built in 1922 as a baseball stadium. It has 25,000 seats. It hosted the Blue Gray Classic, the College All-Star Game from 1939 to 2001. Alabama played there. They played 20 games, with the most recent in 1954. They went 17-3 at this place. Alabama State. This was their home stadium from 1923 to 2012. When we did the SWAC episode, we saw how nice the Alabama State on-campus stadium is. So that's the reason they left. They've hosted the Camellia Bowl game since 2014, which I went to last year. And they've also hosted this game, the FS Kickoff, since 2017. There's been baseball here and all kinds of, so this is started out as a baseball field. It really got run down. And then in 2010 to 2012, they dropped $10 million on a renovation. Big spenders. 10,000 to modernize the stadium. And one other thing I should mention, both of these schools you mentioned with maybe FBS aspirations, regardless of that, they are investing heavily in their program. SEMO is doing a multi-year stadium expansion and update, which is ongoing, and it's going to look phenomenal. And UNA has played off campus at Braley Stadium forever. And they announced earlier this year that they're going to have an on-campus stadium in 2026. I've been to SEMO. I have not been to North Alabama. And when you hear that they're building a new stadium, that might be enough reason to hold off on a visit until 2026. But regardless, this is an exciting matchup to check out on Saturday.
Yeah, hell yeah. And shout out to Kevin Marshall, FCS Nation Radio. Check out their show and their work that they do. They're phenomenal. Yeah, absolutely phenomenal. If you want to know the FCS game, they're the gateway. That's the one you got to seek out, the
most credible FCS show in the country, period.
100%. This stadium's awesome though. It really is. And I mean, come on, dude, I love this shot right here. Not a seat.
And
there's a story behind that, right?
Well, as a guy looking for obstructed views, it really helps when someone tells me it's not a seat. And, it's even easier when it's just painted on the concrete there. So I walked by and I said, is there an obstructed view? And they said, no, it's not a seat. So I said, thank you. And I kept going.
I just picture some absolute drunken is that, how do I say, is that Alabamian? Would that be correct? They're just giving the guy shit. Just, you're working, you just say, no, I'm going to sit here. So they actually had to go and put this in the ground. Hilarious. This stadium is beautiful though, man. I've never been here and I would like to get here because I just think it's cool as hell. I love the press box too, as we're going to see. Look at that.
It's very cool. And that's the one they added in 2010. So it's a great addition. And I should mention that I went to the 2020 FCS kickoff. It was Central Arkansas, and damn, it's escaping me who the other team is. I know who it is, but that was the very first game of the COVID season. Is it Missouri State?
Might have been UAB.
I want to say
UAB one of those years.
I thought it was the FCS kickoff. It was two FC, but I remember this place was all taped off, and it was the first time I saw stalls taped off, and it was weird. And then there goes Kevin, Austin P. That's exactly correct.
Yeah.
It was the first play of the game was a 75-yard touchdown. And I remember tweeting out, we got it. Magic is back. So I saw that at the depths of the worst game experience you would want, just because of the, I think it was 10%. So 2,200. Fast forward to last year, got to see this Camellia Bowl. This was a great game in Northern Illinois. And then I was able to 2-for-1 this with the 68 Ventures Bowl at South Alabama Stadium, Hancock Whitney. So this stadium independently is a good stadium. It's like you would expect in Alabama, proximate to other places. And, the combination of this is 10 years they've been doing this game. So this is not just some small tradition. This is a big tradition for FCS football right here.
Love it. Love it. FCS football. I like to think FCS, that's the heartbeat of college football. Everyone gets, you know what I mean? Everyone gets the, they see the FBS, they see the national championship and all, and whatever, the Rose Bowl and stuff. But here's how you know the real from the fake. The FCS. If they don't, I don't watch the FCS. Well, I don't really want to have a conversation with you about football. All right. Let's go.
Well, they've had a playoff bracket since 1978. What does that say?
Yeah.
Maybe they were onto something 40,000 years ago, maybe.
Right. This place is fantastic, man. I got to get there. And I love the obstructed view that we got potentially here. Right. And you got some wires. You got some wires running by you.
You can't have a 102-year-old stadium without random wires out. That's the way it works. But this is, so I mentioned the press box was added in 2010. So somebody checked the boxes on the form that this was built very well, and there was no obstructed views. And I go up there with my, what did I call it? My bowl game posture, right? As I tried to set up as best as I can in that other photo, and it blocked out about 60. There you go, right there. So about 60 or 40% of the stadium is blocked out. So not terrible. You can see it's only 2 rows, but take out those rows and you got no obstructed view. But we love this place, regardless if it has 2, maybe let's say 10 obstructed view seats in the entire Cramton Bowl.
Yeah. I mean, that's great. That is absolute great. Next, we're going to Atlanta for I am excited. Now, I did see, shout out to, once again, if you want to, this is why you check out FCS Nation Radio. Kevin tweeted out earlier. I saw him tweet out that, Norfolk State starting quarterback, who was a transfer that I'm familiar with. I'm just drawing a blank on his name right now. He is suspended for this game. So getting information like that key, they're going to be rolling with the backup quarterback. I believe his name is Jalen Daniels, or Jaden. No, I don't remember. I remember it being, well, I remember him having the same name but either way, they're taking on Florida A&M at Center Parc Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia. Center Parc's 28 years old. It used to be the home for the Atlanta Braves, I think, played there for a little bit. Seats 24,333. These logos are fire, and this is one of the ones. Like I said, call me hipster Colby here. I'd rather see, like, everyone's talking about the Georgia Tech Florida State game, which I'm gonna watch. Don't get me wrong. Like this game, the Cramton Bowl game, and the Montana State New Mexico game are like the three that really catch my eye. Like, I don't know I think Florida A&M is going to win, but you got a coaching change there. Willie Simmons heads off to Duke, and Norfolk State I think is going to be better this year. So maybe with the suspended quarterback, I'm not sure now, but I'm intrigued by this matchup as well. Tell me about your travels to Center Parc Stadium, and look, it's a cool place, man.
Yeah, so I've been there for 2 games. So they were Georgia State games, not the MEAC SWAC Challenge. The MEAC SWAC Challenge has been going on since 2005. It's been at this stadium since 2018. Obviously, it was old Turner Field. It was originally built in 1996 for the Summer Olympics. At the time, it had 85,000 seats. And then immediately after the games were over, they reduced capacity down to 49,000 for Turner Field. They played at Turner Field for quite a while, and then they moved on to, I think it's Truist is the new one. And Georgia State, they only started their program in 2010. They played in the Georgia Dome till 2016. They moved in here. Now they own the place, and they reduced the capacity further down to the 24,000 you mentioned. They tarp off a lot of seats, so they didn't really take it out. But for a program founded in 2010 to 14 years later, have their own stadium and be in the the Sun Belt Conference, huge accomplishment. When it comes to the MEAC SWAC Challenge, this is a great stadium for that. The MEAC leads the 11-7 in the series, so there's a lot of times where SWAC teams have been favored and the MEAC teams have beaten them. It's the same thing in the Celebration Bowl. But this is interesting because, yes, there's changes at FAMU, but they're defending HBCU national champions. It's kind of poetic that they ended last year by winning the HBCU national championship in Atlanta versus Howard, and now they're opening up as defending champs here in Atlanta, a few miles away from that Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So this is an exciting game. And then when it comes to Norfolk State, Coach Odoms, he wins. And it's disappointing to hear about the quarterback suspension, because I feel like this could be the year that they pop through and maybe ascend to the top of the MEAC. But this, of course, is an out-of-conference game. We'll see. But still, regardless, this is an exciting game to go through to, and I expect a good crowd. FAMU travels very well.
Yeah, this game's fantastic, and I'm trying to quickly find the quarterback's name that I'm drawing a blank on. So yeah, Jalen Daniels is starting. Daniels is starting, and Otto Coons, I knew that name. He is suspended. And look, I was talking to legendary coach Jerry Glanville, and correct me if I'm wrong. Now, he's a little long in the tooth. Love Coach Glanville. But he said Fulton County was across the street from this.
I believe so. This is not near down, or it's not in downtown Atlanta. You can see in this photo, you can see the skyline in the background. So it's a little bit further away from, downtown Midtown area.
Yeah. He loved Fulton County, and he was saying that, he goes, it's right next to Center Parc. And I'm like, really? And he goes, like, some of that is right there. And I'm like, no shit. So I didn't know that. If that's the case, that's pretty fascinating, because Fulton County, I mean, it goes back to like the 60s. I feel like that was the Atlanta Falcons' first stadium. This is a cool stadium. The skyline and everything there. Look at that. I know this is not your shot. I grabbed this from the internet, but look at that fucking skyline.
No,
beautiful,
it's
man.
Great. Yeah. And the other feature that I really like about this stadium was, there you go, Ryan saying it's in the parking lot right there. So the roadside bleachers are inside the outfield wall that used to exist, and it's only about 15 rows, but those are among the closest seats to a sideline that you can get in college football. And I don't know who's going to be designated the home side, who's going to be on the roadside. They tarp off the top. I don't know if they're going to take it off and expect more than 24,000, but I would guess that this crowd could eclipse the opening crowd that Georgia State gets for their game. So this is one where we know how crazy Georgia is. We know how rabid fans in Atlanta are. So if you're not coming from Norfolk or you're not coming from Tallahassee, this is one, as you mentioned in the beginning, come and check this out. This will be a fun game, and there's a lot of intrigue with FAM trying to come back and defend their national championship with a different coach, and Norfolk State having a team that could be on the rise and then all of a sudden getting thrown a curveball with their starting quarterback going out. So this is another one. There's been a lot of criticism that there we go. Royal saying the FAM is on the roadside. They'll pack that whole thing out for sure. There's a lot of criticism of week 0 that it's a weak slate. But all these games are interesting. It may not be Notre Dame, it may not be whoever, but these games are all very interesting, and I'm going to watch all of them.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I'm like fascinated by this matchup. There's some other spreads that are like very up there, but I mean, I expect this one to be somewhat of a short spread when it drops. Royal saying Jackson State sold out the stadium last year for this game. Yeah, that's awesome. And I would expect, I think you're right. I think it's going to have more than, and look, I like the Del McGee hire at Georgia State, but I just feel like that they don't have the tradition yet. They're building that tradition. So
this is my photo from 2022 right here. So, this is not a packed out crowd, and this was a September game. So it's not like they're 3-6 and they're out of any type of consequential game. So there'll be a much bigger crowd. Hopefully a sellout. If Jackson State do it, I do not doubt what FAM can bring, and Norfolk State, that's not too far of a flight.
What's the statue again? Is that Hank Aaron?
Hank Aaron. That's Hank Aaron.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome stuff. Yeah. I mean, look, it's a nice stadium, man, to get your own. Like how many colleges don't start their football program because they don't have a stadium? You know what I mean? To do that.
And we've talked about like UTSA playing the Alamo Dome. There's a couple other. USF has been playing in Raymond James. So it takes a while. And for this school to just start football in 2010 and get their own stadium a few years later, it's a big deal. And they want to multi-purpose this and hold more events. They've talked about, Kevin just put in a note about the FCS kickoff being a standalone. That used to be a staple in college football. We've talked about on previous episodes how the FCS championship is the contract with Frisco is up. And we mentioned the Citadel in Charleston last time. We know that Chattanooga Finley Stadium has had it. Atlanta, maybe you don't want to put the FCS championship in the Mercedes-Benz Dome because it's too big. This is another place you could do it. So maybe on a rotational business. But yeah, huge strides for a program only 14 years old. And, hosting these big events, it's a way to increase foot traffic and game traffic and interest in football in Atlanta.
Yeah, and please don't put it in the Mercedes-Benz Dome. We already got.
No, we don't want that.
We already have the Black National Championship. We don't need 2 straight events of that.
It is funny though, because at the HBCU National Championship between FAMU and Howard that I went to last year, they got over 40,000 in that stadium. So you look at some of the bowl games that were FBS games, and they couldn't even compare to that. So it just shows you the pull of good football in Atlanta, HBCU fan bases. It's all a recipe for a great atmosphere and environment.
Yeah, fantastic. Next up, what? You didn't think we put a game that you could watch on YouTube? You don't fucking know us, all right? And Lincoln, California, the Oaklanders, they're my favorite school in the nation right now. All right, because they don't even have a home. All right. Oh man, what's that? I don't even have a job. No, look, they're fucking road warriors. They've been playing on the road for like how many years now, Michael?
Since 2021, they founded their program. And shout out to Lincoln. This school is about 15 minutes from my house and very small. I want to say like under 500 enrollment. But they have played since 2021 as an independent, and they've played FCS teams, and this is an NAIA game. So these guys are taking their lumps to start their program, and hopefully it amounts to something. Like I said, it's about 15 minutes from my house. Yeah, I love it.
Who's that jackass that owns the Oakland Coliseum? Can you give them some home games, you rich prick? All right. Just let them play football on that field. They're heading to the College of Idaho to take on the Yotes. Great logo. The Coyotes there of Idaho. And look, if you're wondering where Caldwell, Idaho is, yeah, I had to look at this today on the map too. This is like 20 miles outside of Boise. This stadium is 60 years old. It seats just under 5,000. NAIA football, yeah, we love it. Look at this thing; it's a gem. I feel like on the other side of the stadium, you might have a venue for monster truck madness or destruction derbies, but it doesn't matter. This stadium's been there a long time. I dig it, man. And if you're in Idaho, look, what the hell else you got going on? Go out there, all right? Come on, go support college football. Dude, talk to me about this stadium, because I've been to Boise, I've been to Albertson Stadium, but if I had known about this, I would have made the voyage 20 miles. Was it like, I think it's northwest of Boise. Yeah, I like the stadium, and I will tune in on YouTube. Let's go.
Yeah, so I haven't been to Boise for a game since 2018, and so I'm disappointed that this one was not on my radar. So there's no photos. This one I haven't even done a campus visit. So, but Idaho, if you like Idaho and Idaho State, and you like Boise, well, this is one that's right in that proximity. This stadium, as you mentioned, built in 1964, 4,826 seats. 27 miles east of Boise, is part of the Caldwell Events Center complex, which also includes the O'Connor Fieldhouse and the Charolales Barns, which may be that rodeo place that you're talking about over there. But it's hosted pro baseball. It did that until 1973, and it hosted the College of Idaho soccer from 1987 to 2008. And in 2014, the stadium had major renovations. They put in the turf, they put in an expanded video board, and they remodeled their press box. So, when you're looking at cool places to go check out a stadium, this one has 4,800 seats. The smallest stadium in the FCS is Duquesne. It has 2,200 seats. This is double the capacity. So you can criticize certain, some NAI schools are playing at high schools or they're playing off campus. This is a cool stadium with almost 5,000 seats. And as you mentioned, if you're in Idaho and, they call Boise the big city now because it's got, so many people influx, go 25 miles outside on a Saturday and go watch a college football game in a beautiful stadium there in Caldwell.
That's what I'm saying. What do you got going on? Get out there and support these boys. All right. They got the Oaklanders. I must admit, I'm hoping for a road dub here. Well, every game is a road game, but the Oaklanders have my heart, but I like this College of Idaho, and I saw their enrollment is only 900 and some people. This is fantastic. If you really want to get out there, come on. What is a ticket here? That fucking hot chocolate's going to cost more than your ticket. All right.
And this is where you discover your love of college football. I mean, I guess I should put it a different way. This is one that will almost like reinforce your love of college football, because all of a sudden, the sign that comes out with the TV timeouts that says 3 minutes and 40 seconds, and you just want to put a gun to your head and, wait it out. There's none of that. This is football on a lower scale, simple, and it's going to be straightforward. And enjoy a game in a small town, in a place maybe you wouldn't think of as a destination for college football. So, this is one that, you're going to have to go find on the YouTube interwebs and locate it. But, maybe you don't watch it on game day. Maybe you watch it on the next day of the replay, but try to check out at least parts of this game if you can.
Hell yeah, man. I love it. Let's go Oaklanders. Get that road dub. All right. Nothing against you.
The more wins they get, the more money they could get, the more opportunities they get. And maybe they could actually, show some results for them being road warriors for 4 straight years. I know, and I don't know for sure right now if Gary Payton was the basketball coach there. I believe he's still the basketball coach there, but that's a labor of love. You know, he's from Oakland and he wants to be able to get that program going in the, you know, strides in the right way. So, you know, this is a school that is trying something with a low enrollment and a low academic budget. And it would be great if these efforts actually paid out. And shout out to the players that signed up to play road games for 4 straight years. You know, hats off to those kids.
Hell yeah, man. That's what I'm saying. I need a t-shirt, man. We got to have you stop by the stadium store, assuming that they have one, you know, a university store. We got to rep some Oaklanders gear. I think they're not talked about enough. They're not talked about enough. That story is incredible. The fact they're just been playing on the road same for basketball too. Fucking incredible.
I don't know. I don't know about basketball, but I know that they've played FCS teams. And so, you know, most people aren't going to consider your schedule is open to NAIA opponents and, you know, D3, D2 and FCS and they've had some bad losses, you know, but they have won a couple games. And, you know, it takes a while to build something. It takes a lot to buy in, but you don't have to question those players' commitment. You know, they're in. They're just not. They don't have the resources yet to be a factor, and that takes time.
Yeah, gotta love it. Got to love it. And look at these shots. I couldn't zoom into these because the pixels weren't the greatest, but I mean, that's fire. That stadium's fire, man. We got to get to a game out there. And look at that in the elements.
Yeah, Idaho is the fastest growing state in the United States. So, you know, when you go there, they're going to tell you don't come here and you wouldn't want to live here, but it's just a cover story. That's what it is.
I felt that. I felt that. I have a California driver's license. So I went to that Boise game, met up with my brother who lives in North Carolina. We flew there. We both met there. They welcome him. They're like buying him beers. Oh, welcome to Idaho. Me? They're basically telling me like, hey dude, go fuck yourself right from the start.
Don't go look at real estate while you're here. Do not go that way.
Yeah. This fucking look at this. You got the snow. Come on, it's football, baby.
Outdoors, by the way. I know you want to dig at the other.
Hammer that. Boise gets it. Hey, Moscow, Pocatello, take notes. All right. Let's go.
Keep going.
Next up, we go to Mackay Stadium, Reno, Nevada. 58 years old, seats 27,000. SMU. Look, SMU George W. is not even an alum. He's not even an alum, and he's making phone calls. Look, we're gonna need to get you. We're gonna need to get in the ACC. All right, we're afraid that there's gonna be separation. All right. I mean, I've been calling Florida State Saudi Arabia U. Well, this is Saudi Arabia Tech. Then going back to Desert Storm because I mean,
I think tide turning. As I remember, I was raised in the desert, but tides kind of turn. It's easy to see a tide turn. Did I say those words?
That's some insight right there. We needed that from him at this very moment.
He's got so many gems. He's got. I mean, half my soundboard is just.
I know the human being and fish can coexist peacefully.
Can you imagine like waiting for a few hours to hear a politician talk, and this is what we're dropping here?
I know the human being and fish can coexist peacefully.
Oh man,
yeah, I hear no lies. No lies. I too believe that fish and humans can,
man.
Get them in the ACC. It worked.
It got him to the ACC. Let's go. All right. And that now SMU is playing their first game in the All Coast Conference as they head to the biggest little city in the world, Reno, Nevada, take on the Wolfpack. Jeff Choate, first game as the head coach of the Wolfpack, former Montana State head coach a few years back. This spread, I think it's at 27.5 or 28. 27.5. I think I saw. Can the Mustangs come in there and take care of business? Mackay Stadium, obviously, it's. I like how old it is. I like the history. Tell me about your travels here.
So I've been to one game in my first year traveling in 2017. That's the only game that I've been there, and this is one that I've wanted to get back to. I made a campus visit last year in the off season and got to take some great photos of it. But, built in 1966, opened with 7,500 seats. It's up to 27,000. The record crowd they got was against UNLV back in the day, 33,391. Like a lot of the Mountain West schools, it's at elevation, 4,610 foot elevation, named after Clarence Mackay, which was a donor a long time ago. And you may not think that this is a great home field advantage, but their all-time record entering 2020, so there's been a couple years after that, but 236, 95, and 2. So they've won a ton of games here. And this game kind of got put on the schedule a little bit late. SMU agreed to play. Typically we're seeing all that talk that P4s are not going to go play at G5s. Well, they agreed to it. You get that extra game. It helps with the playoffs. You also have Nevada getting an extra game and having some revenue for that. And this is an exciting one where, the spread doesn't really make you think it's going to be exciting, but I just think the scene of a G5 opening against a P4 on week 0, that's something you want to check out.
Yeah, and they're brand new P4. I hear a lot of publications just like crowning SMU. Yes. All right, like this is a team that, they had some nice wins last year, and I know they're spending crazy fuck you money on everybody, but you still it's still 11 on 11. You know what I mean? Like it's like Miami spends like 30 million every year on a roster. I feel like, right? The Dallas Cowboys or the New York Yankees, it doesn't mean you're just going to automatically win games. So I'm fascinated by this game. Choate, I think he's the right hire. No disrespect to Ken Wilson. I like Ken Wilson, but it wasn't working. And I think Choate can actually build a winner here, much like he did. He was successful in Bozeman, and I think they're in good hands now. Obviously, it's the first game, so maybe it could go off the rails. I don't know, but look. And another thing is, you got the Circa in Reno right there too. So what are you doing? Hit the Circa. Reno's an underrated city. All right, you got Lake Tahoe close by. Maybe you're in the area. All right, go check out a game. I love those mountains in the backdrop too, man. It's a beautiful stadium.
No, it's beautiful. And you don't have to go back that long to think of good Nevada teams. Obviously, when Kaepernick was there, they were really good, knocked off Boise State. And I've been kind of tapped into Nevada social media the past few weeks. They're really making an effort to sell this game out. And so those bleachers on the left, you see, those are all students right there. So just opening day, and this could be, you're a college freshman, you just enrolled at Nevada. This, week 0 might even be before classes start. I'm not sure what the schedule, but you could be moving into your dorm or you could be moving into your new apartment. Come on over to the stadium here and check out some football. I think the student prices are either, 0 or low. And I'm hoping that there's a big crowd, and you never know. You never know what could happen when you get a good atmosphere, a home opener, a new coach, optimism, and maybe a team like SMU is coming in a little bit, maybe looking past a little bit. I mean, I don't expect it, but you never know what could happen if you could pack it out and create a good atmosphere, especially given their historic winning record at the stadium.
And in a way, like when you're a new coach, you can bring in a lot of your old guys. There's, Choate was at Texas. He brought in like 3 or 4 Texas transfers that familiar with the system. Maybe you can sell your culture a little faster because of that. And what's this? We have the great George W. on the line here. And he says he's going to be at this game, and some others will be at this game.
Dan Marino and his really dynamic wife.
Dan Marino and his dynamic wife are also going to be at this game. I don't think you should call Dan Marino's wife dynamics, president, Mr. President, Mr. Former President. But look, get out there, support the game, and hopefully they could pull the upset. That'd be fantastic as they spend all this money. It would also be.
Hopefully, it's not dynamic like the NFL kickoff.
Oh God. Don't start with that one.
It's a bad way to describe things now. Dynamic got hijacked.
Yeah, by the NFL. That's true. That's true. I'm actually terrified. I'm terrified that this is going to come into the college game. I am so disappointed in the NFL for going. Look, and I know the kickoff before was horrible too, but this is way worse. This is like, this is some soccer shit, in my opinion. Like, you look at it on the field. I saw it in the XFL. I thought it was horrible. And you don't have, you get, I still don't understand the safety angle. It's like, well, this is safer. Not than a touchback. What are you talking about? Like, both can't be right. All right. Both can't be right. I don't understand their argument here. It's like, well, first off, you're still doing punt returns. So I don't understand the logic there. Right. How many times I lost 2 teeth on a punt return, right? What are we talking about here? We're just stupid. It's a ploy. It's fake safety. They're making the attempt so that the sheep believe they care about safety. If they really cared about safety, they'd play all their games outdoors and not on AstroTurf, because the injury rate's like 30% higher on AstroTurf, right? And also, they would not build all these fucking domes because rain and snow slow down the game, which means not as fast of collisions head on. Holy shit. I should run for president. Anyway, the stadium.
So what you're saying is thankfully college football is here in a few days, so we don't have to watch NFL preseason and experimental kickoffs. That's kind of what you're saying?
Yeah. I was watching CFL today, dude. I couldn't even do it. I couldn't even do the NFL. I was like, give me the Canadian one.
Winnipeg with a big victory.
Yeah.
I know exactly.
Even though that was in a filthy dome, but it's tough for me over here. All right. Yeah. It's really tough. I watched that baseball game at Cooperstown. That was one of the cooler ones, but, this stadium's great. The stadium is, and this is what I love about it is the history there. I mean, Kaepernick, and some of the other greats for Nevada, Charles Mann, all played on this field. And
Marion Motley, not on this field, but in the program. So the only downside of this place is that there's the remnants of a track on the roadside and the home side. So we've seen Eastern Michigan, throw turf over it. We just did Tarleton State. They throw turf over it. So does it make a huge difference? Because you're not going to be able to close the gap between the bleachers and the sideline unless you lower the field. And chances are, if they invested in this field, they're not going to dig it up right away. But, put some turf there, cover it up. Then, Hawaii has the same thing, but they're in a kind of a makeshift stadium. The other ones are Buffalo, Sam Houston State. So there's a couple tracks left, but that's the only downside that I see of the stadium is the track on each sideline. Other than that, looks like a great play. I mean, I went there, 2017, but this is definitely one I want to go back to.
Yeah. Yeah. I dig it. I think Choke to be the guy. They had under Chris Alt. That program was really good, man. Final game on the slate. It's college football season. They did it right. When this is the late night game, it's just the way that it should be. In Delaware State, the Hornets. I like that. I like that logo. You know what I mean? It's abstract. They're going to the Ching Complex. Bring your membership. Honolulu, Hawaii. 9 years old. 16,909 people. This has been. They keep. Every time I feel like I do the graphic, it can seat more people. Talk to me about your travels to the island to see Hawaii.
So I go to Hawaii a lot. Fortunate California, Southwest Airlines is like $139 each way. You could get airline points. You can go there. So I've been there a lot. They let Aloha Stadium get condemned, which is very unfortunate. Great historic stadium, hosted Pro Bowls and many great Hawaii football games. This stadium was built as a soccer stadium with a track. It was never intended to host football, but because Aloha Stadium got condemned in late 2020, they had to do things. And as you mentioned, started out 4,000 seats, then it became 9,000, and now it's up to about 17,000 seats. They took the scoreboard, the video board from Aloha Stadium, they brought it over and they put it on the back of the baseball stadium. And so you can see it from here. Now they have the Hawaii Bowl, which is played here too. So they're making the best of what they can. This game is, they were supposed to be playing Oregon week 0, and Oregon backed out of this, and they backed out of 2 future games, and they actually played Hawaii $1 million as compensation because they didn't know if new Aloha Stadium would be built in time, supposed to be 2028. And this is certainly not a big enough venue for Oregon to travel to. And so There's a lot of things that are going on with the stadium situation, but they were able to find an opponent. They got Delaware State coming out there. They're actually playing 2 FCS opponents, so only one will count towards the bowl game. But that being said, week 0 was made for Hawaii because of the travel exemption. Like, they're the one that's done it. They've played at UMass. They played in Australia. And this game right here, this was from 2022. I went to this game. They played Vanderbilt. It was the first game under Coach Timmy Chang. And so they played last year at Vanderbilt as part of the home and home. And now they get their the last game of the year, of the week 0 slate, back on the island, on campus here in Hawaii.
Yeah, look, just Hawaii is beautiful in general. Like, it's impossible. There's no ugly side of Hawaii, unless you're talking about the remodeling plans of Aloha Stadium. But I mean, you see like some of these shots with like the mountain. Look at that. And how far are you from the ocean from here?
You're probably about 15 minutes from the ocean,
Okay.
but this is right off the freeway. It's right on campus. And, I say that you could talk to 100 people in Hawaii and get 100 different answers from the stadium solution. If you go back to the last photo, that there's a parking garage right there, on the back right behind that little scoreboard. You're not allowed to tailgate from there, but the location has the basketball arena, has the beach volleyball courts, has the tennis courts, has the baseball. It's so centrally located. It's awesome. And, they're talking about they're possibly going to build a 25,000 seat stadium on the spot when they knock down old Aloha Stadium. Well, this one already holds 17,000, and they have 350 million earmarked for new Aloha. You think about what kind of money could be done here for investment. They're short on parking, they're short on bathrooms, they're short on concessions. It's not ideal, but it's on campus. And, so anyways, there's like, if you're going to rebuild Aloha and you're going to make a 45 or 50,000 seat stadium and do it all the way, well, that's one thing. But if you're going to build a stadium that's only 8,000 seats bigger than the existing stadium, then what are you doing? You got to, this is a G5 program in the most isolated place in the world. And they have not had a home stadium since 2020. And they don't have a new one on the horizon until 2028. They put out bids for developers to come up with a plan. 2 of them were supposed to submit plans here very soon. 1 of them dropped out. Now they're down to 1 developer going to present 1 plan, and they're hoping to sign it by 2025 and get going. Well, what if that plan is not good? They kind of backed themselves in a quarter. So anyways, it's a complicated situation, but right now you have on campus Hawaii football. And I hope people go and support, because they're passionate fans in Hawaii. They love football, all levels, a lot of great high school legends out there. And this is a great way to cap the week 0 slate by watching this. But one more thing, they put this game on pay-per-view in Hawaii. It's called Spectrum Pay-Per-View. And it's, I want to say it's $75 per game. So it's not on regular TV here in America. You get like the Team One Sports app and you'll be able to get it. But fans in Honolulu, they went from a 50,000 seat stadium to 17,000. Maybe you can't get a ticket because of the reduction. The only way you can see it is you pay $75, which is just ridiculous.
What a crock of shit. And I guarantee you their taxes go to the university too. You know what I mean? I guarantee you, like, it's just ridiculous. That's some Don King boxing bullshit right there. You know what I mean? Like, this, they got to change.
And it's hard, and again, this is not Oklahoma. This is not, Texas, where, Texas has Texas Longhorn Network, or you can do with these things. You can sustain that. But this is a G5 program, again, without a home stadium for several years, without a new one on the horizon, and you're going to punish people who can't get to the game. What if you don't? So the question Ryan's asking, is this on the Big Island? This is on Oahu. If you don't live here, if you live on any of the other islands down there, you can't drive to the game.
That's
are you going to fly to a
ridiculous.
game? Maybe. So it's very tough. It's a tough situation. But I love Hawaii. I support Hawaii football. Hawaii football follows me on Twitter. I went to the Colt Brennan Celebration of Life ceremony. I went to the closing of Aloha Stadium that ceremony. I've been there for several games, 3 games at Aloha Stadium, 2017, 2018, 2019. Like, I'm invested in Hawaii football, and I want them to solve the stadium situation, but that's out of their hands right now. For the next 3 or 4 years, everybody's got to, rally around these guys and come and support. And, the other side of it is Delaware State fans got an unexpected trip to paradise, and they're really going to make the most of that too. So this is a good one for us on the mainland to end, but when you get into the weeds of the situation in Hawaii, it's a complicated situation.
Yeah. And I interviewed Timmy Chang. I've got to interview him for the past couple of years, and I'm a big fan of Timmy Chang, man. You can't have a conversation with that guy about football and not be ready to run through a wall. They're 38-point favorites right now against Delaware State. And I wonder about that line. Like, I think they could call off the Dogs or something, but I'm intrigued to see. He went and hired Dennis Thurman, the longtime Rex Ryan defensive assistant. And it was interesting because I had asked him, like, how the hell did that come to fruition? And Dennis Thurman was at USC with Pete Carroll, or maybe it was right before Paul Hackett, when he tried to recruit Timmy Chang to USC. That's how they knew each other.
Wow.
So yeah, it's going to be fascinating to watch that defense, because Dennis Thurman / Rex Ryan, they're going to be blitzing like crazy. I'm excited to see that game, to see where they're at. I do think Hawaii, and I talked to June Jones a couple weeks ago, and he said this is a bowl team this year. It's a bowl team. So I share the same, sentiment in a way of, like, I love Hawaii football. I want it to succeed. I want it to be good, like it should be. And I think Timmy Chang's the right guy. And maybe it's this season that they really turn that corner. Excited.
And I'll tell you that so the Hawaii Bowl is on Christmas Eve. It's a standalone game, and I'm going to go. And it would be incredible to see Hawaii play in the Hawaii Bowl for that game. So I hope they can do it.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. That would be absolutely fantastic. So that's the slate we're looking at for week 0. All right. The stadium's awesome. Just anywhere in Hawaii. Look at the skyline and everything. But so get yourself out to one of these games. 8 games on the slate there. Look. Short of the Northeast. That's the only excuse I'll buy. All right. Get yourself out to a game, support college football, or at least watch the damn things. All right. Michael, you go to so many damn college football games with only 8 games that are kind of far away from each other, especially with the time difference. You could only get to 1 this week, and we're going to announce it, but I wanted you to say, first off, that was all the logic, right? Was that it just couldn't be at 2 places at once this week, right?
Well, you definitely can't 2-for-1 any of these. You can't 2-for-1 Ireland. You can't 2-for-1 Hawaii. So that will leave you with 6 on the mainland. You can't 2-for-1 Caldwell, Idaho. So yeah, unless
you're a pilot, right?
Yeah, in which I would love access to, whatever I got to do. But the closest games are probably Montgomery and Atlanta, but those don't match up either. So yeah, this is one where you only can choose one game, and you have, from a traveler perspective, I have goals, and you try to figure out which one is going to meet a goal. So that's kind of the mindset that I went when I was trying to choose the right game for me.
Well, let me see what I can do here. Wait, huh? Little Crocodile Dundee music, little Pick Dundee music. If you follow Michael Barker on Twitter at CFB Campus Tour, this is the start to a very long journey. All right? So give him a follow, but also, if you happen to be at the game this weekend, week 0, we are going to Mackay Stadium there. Yes, look at that graphic there. YouTube.com/@StadiumHeadsSGPN. Michael is heading out to Mackay Stadium. It's been we just touched on this a little while ago. It had been since 2017. that you had been there, and SMU with George W. You're going to be hanging out with Dan Marino and his dynamic wife. Tell me about what made you decide this.
So if you, I don't want to, first of all, fire graphic, and I don't want to discredit it, but if you go back to the list from the previous one, I can kind of tell you what the logic is. So we're not going to Dublin. Tarleton State, I went there in 2021. New Mexico, I went there the Black Friday last year. The Cramton Bowl, Center Parc Stadium, those are both neutral site games. The College of Idaho is not on my goals list, but if it worked out, I would love to go there. And then Hawaii, I went there in 2022. And there's also outside hope that they get to the Hawaii Bowl, so maybe I can go there on Christmas Eve. So it leaves Reno. There's only 3 schools left that I haven't been to since my first year. One is Stanford, one is Air Force, and the other is Nevada. And you can't 2-for-1 Reno. So if we were looking week 6 and I was trying to hit a game at Nevada, you can't do UNLV and Nevada on the same day. You can't do it. So it's all by itself geographically. And on week 0, it's only one of 2 games that are on campus. So it's the choice. And I'm very excited to go back there. You know, we got the credential approved already. I put out a tweet, and some Nevada fans responded to me, and I live 3 hours away. I live in Northern California. So very rarely do I get to drive to a game. I'm going to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, and I'm going to get into Reno very early, and I'm up to do anything. I can hit Circa. I could tailgate as soon as possible, and I want to have fun with it as much as possible. So I'm going to watch all the other games on TV as much as I can. Hard choices, but syncing up with my travel goals, this was the game that made the most sense.
There we go. And if you're Kite Sunday, he says they're going to be at Mackay Stadium there, Mackay Stadium. Yeah. Why is it really spelled with an AY there?
It's spelled Mackay,
yeah.
But it's Mac.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder if I misspelled that on the intro. I don't know. I'm just going. Now I'm paranoid. Okay. But hit him up. All right. Hit him up. Let him know what spots to go to. All right. Is there a certain part of the tailgating scene that you recommend? All right. Is there a great dive outside of the spot? I don't know. Let him know. All right. And if you see him at the game, say what's up to Michael. All right. Yeah. This is the start, man. What's that? What are you gonna say?
Well, what I wanted real quick, sorry to cut you off, but my goal with traveling is to showcase the school and the stadium that I'm going to. So, I don't put myself on my Twitter feed that often. I know a lot of people travel and the game photo, they take a selfie of themselves at the game and like they're the show. I'm not the show. Okay. I want to go and promote Nevada football. I want to promote the stadium. I want to promote the program, all that. And then part of that is interacting with people at the game. So this is me got a decent following on social media. We have this show that we're going to be able to share things to, but my goal next Saturday is to spend the entire day showcasing the best that Wolfpack football has to offer. And then the following week, we'll report on everything that happened. But that's my goal. So if you can, if you're going to the game, if you know somebody with the university, if you have a tailgate going on or anything going, and you think that needs to have a positive light shed on it for Wolfpack football, hit me up and I will do my best to come in and showcase it on my account and then on the show the next week.
True. And how about this? If you're meeting up with Michael, first off, he's going to have to tell me. All right. You got to have but if you meet up with Michael, I'm going to send you a gift card to the SGPN merch store so you can get yourself a Stadium Heads shirt or hat or whatever you want. All right. So if you meet up with Michael, let us know, or let him know. And all he has to do then is just give me the email address. So if you meet up with him, say, what's up with that deal? Hit me with the email address and we're going to send you a gift card so you can wear some new gear, go around town. The season's here, brother. This is only the beginning. There you go. Stadium Head shirt. Get on over there. All right. I can't wait, man. And I'm excited to see your travels to Reno, folks. I became friends with Michael because of this. It wasn't just we had known each other for 20 years. I was like, who's this maniac on Twitter that's going to all these games? Because he's living the best life to me. Like he's living like the college football life, man. That's what I want. And the amount of effort that you got to put in to achieve that, you know what I mean? Hitting like 7 games in like a week sometimes. Phenomenal stuff. So give him a follow on Twitter at CFB Campus Tour. And hey, happy season. Let's go. I cannot wait, man. I hope you enjoy Mackey. And yeah, I'm looking forward to stories. And once again, folks, if you're going, hit him up. I'm on Twitter at @TheColbyD. I also host the College Football Experience. We're breaking down all 134 college football teams in the land and the FBS. I also host the FCS College Football Experience. It's been a little dark lately just because co-host had some stuff going on, some family stuff, but we will have the lines for week 0 or week 1 out. So stay tuned, jump over there. Also check out the College Basketball Experience. Moneyline Mac's been killing it with interviews. If you're a Nevada Wolfpack fan, I'll see you at Mountain West Media Days for basketball as well. Steve Alford era. So check out that, the College Basketball Experience. When the season goes live, we're live every single night of the season. Also the College Baseball Experience. We come together as one on YouTube, youtube.com/the College Experience. Subscribe, tell a friend. And yeah, check out the Sports Gambling Podcast as well. Till next time, folks, this is the Stadium Heads week 0. Happy season. This is fantastic. All right. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here.
No cream, no sugar, mocha only. Choke the microphone the way he low can choke a phony, won't he? Hold the player station like a broken Sony. Tenderoni phone, she'll only come and stroke the pony. That good loving deserves a Uncle Anatoni. Rats in the hood bugging, they want more raw baloney. Chachi need to watch his bony, skinny Joni. Young and fit and fattening her up with minestrone. Been grown, chrome Molly skin tone. While he rock the end zone, tap your toe or chin bone. The choice is yours alone. The game for the throne, and to get the game zone. Doom man known as the Don for sure true. And he won't show his face or sponsor your group. He sneak up and throw you for a loop. She pick up, speak up if you want some more soup.
New suits again, who do's cruise again, who's too smooth, who's flus want snooze with them. No surprise, no new news to him. Here's a light bulb, now how many of you screw this in? I do better when it's less team effort. With an old blue sweater, I'm a less clean wrestler. Full circle, back to the drawing board. Mike by the mirror, I'm the best I ever saw record. Mopey doom, get it sewn like an open wound. 2 signs up in the lab will make it go kaboom. They said don't mix those 2 properties together, probably end up with some empty eye sockets or whatever. I'm only here to hunt pleasure like some treasure. Never from a whack pack of bitches like the Heathers. After this, you better owe them for some loot. You freaks, what the fuck would make you want some more soup?